Uh, did we do this last time? Does anyone remember or recognize this?
I think we did number 5.
Yeah, so we're on number 6. Number 6 is I express my innermost desires and aspirations to Krishna. That is what prayer means. My innermost desires and aspirations to Krishna. Of course, this means spiritual aspirations, not material aspirations. Unless that material aspiration is in the service of Krishna. But generally, the devotee reveals their heartfelt desire to Krishna. And as we discussed last week, then you may wonder, why do I have to tell Krishna? He's in my heart, he already knows. So we discussed that. And in the past, we have discussed another principle, and that principle is when you express something, the power of what you express becomes stronger. Right? It's just like, let's say you don't like somebody. So that person, you meet that person, you're thinking, I don't like them. And then you walk away and you say, I don't like that person. It intensifies your feeling, don't you think? By saying it, speaking intensifies it. So for our own well-being, even if we have a desire, we know what that desire is, but to express that desire to Krishna, it's a very beautiful, I don't know if it's a psychological process because I've never read about this, but it seems to me that it is a psychological process, that it's like if you have a desire, and what do we say? The aspiration, the desire aspiration in Krishna consciousness, if you have it. And then you express it, it becomes more intentional for you once you express it. It becomes more vibrant. The frequency of that desire, the intensity of the desire will increase, and it tends to focus the mind by saying it. So even if I wasn't praying to Krishna and I was just saying it, I have an aspiration to serve in Vrindavan, let's say, for example. And just by saying that, it intensifies that desire. So what to speak of saying it to Krishna? Now you're not just saying it to the air, you're saying it to Krishna. This is my desire, this is my aspiration. Please help me. And so there's also, maybe some of you know this principle, that if you have a goal, you're supposed to write it down, and it connects that goal. I'm not sure exactly what happens. Maybe it connects to the subconscious, but they say, like, if you have a goal, let's say it's just in your head, but it intensifies and you become more directed when you write it down. So it's the same principle. So that somehow or other has been determined. I don't know scientifically if there's data, but it has been determined. Probably there's some data that if you write a goal down, you're more likely to achieve it. So, and then you have affirmations, which to affirm what you want. So I think prayer falls in that category. Krishna, this is what I want. I share this with you. And then the next the question would be, well, once I share it once, is that enough? Is it like he knows? So no, you can share it as much as you want. Like we have these songs of the acharyas. And a lot of these songs, the acharyas are expressing their desire. When will that day come when I have a taste for the holy name, when I come to the stage of bhava and I feel something special by thinking of you, serving you, chanting your name like that. And that song could be sung every day for the rest of your life. Just, whatever that desire is, I keep asking for it. Krishna, when? When, oh, when, oh, when? Right? You agree? Yeah. Yeah, good. Das is good. Is that how you say it? I forgot, Samir. I was saying that when I was last time. Das is good. Good. Something like, das is good. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, está bien. Das is good, está bien. Ça c'est bon. Sab TK. Yeah. You didn't know I could speak so many languages, did you? Show. Yeah. So we feel, or we should feel, or the proper way to feel is that whatever we're doing in Krishna consciousness, we're doing it in partnership with Krishna. So when I express my aspiration, my desire, it's like partnership. I need your help, Krishna. I want you to know what I want. I want you to know what I aspire for. I want you to know what I need. And we're in partnership, and that's why I'm telling you these things. Because I don't think I can do it alone. We're going to do this together. We're in partnership, and I need your help. And I'm ready, but I need you to help me. So that's the idea of revealing to Krishna what we want. And then a question that may come up is, what is suitable to aspire for? Because Prabhupada said, first deserve, then desire. And he said that in relation to devotees desiring something that he didn't feel they were qualified for, which could be dangerous. Not necessarily dangerous if you know you're not qualified, but dangerous if you think you are qualified for something you're not qualified. So we all want prema. Before we get to prema, we can desire the next level. If I'm on bhajana kriya, then it's nishta. If it's nishta, it's a nartanda vritti. Then if I'm in a nartanda vritti, it's nishta. If it's nishta, I would want ruchi. If it's ruchi, it's sakti. So we can pray for that. When's the next stage? Or when will that day come? I hanker for it, that I will be on the stage of bhava. When would that come? So that's a good kind of hankering. If I think I'm 2 days away from bhava and I'm 2 light years away, that's the problem that Prabhupada's saying. Well, you're praying for something that you're not qualifying yourself for. So that's also an important element. And I've talked about that a lot, that there's an element of prayer where you feel like, I shouldn't pray if I don't deserve, if I don't try to qualify myself, or it's beyond my qualification. And there's an element of prayer where I'll never be qualified, so I have to pray. That's the reason I'm praying, because I'll never be qualified. So that might be more in relation to personal weaknesses that I'm trying to overcome. And the very reason I'm praying is because I need help in overcoming them. So, we have to distinguish what Prabhupada meant. If you say, when will that day come when I'm, putting this flower in Radharani's hand? Okay, that's nice. But at the same time, you can't even get up from Mangalarti. So that's where Prabhupada would say, first deserve, then desire. So like, if you're going to desire big, then at least you should act big, something like that. But there are these situations where we can't qualify, we can't deserve it, but we only deserve it because we're trying to be devotees. And that's more in relation to overcoming obstacles. Krishna help, it's like, I'm not, can't qualify myself. There's nothing I can do. I'm just trying, but this is an obstacle and I need your help. So we just wanted to distinguish between those two. And now you might say, well, we have a lot of examples in our acharyas of them hankering for very high things. And so the hankering part is a good example. We should hanker to be better. They're hankering to be better. When will that day come? That's good if it's done properly. Like, I want to be more Krishna conscious, and that is demonstrating that desire and it's strengthening that desire. So when will that day come? When I come to the next level? When will I have some taste for the holy name? Krishna, please give me taste. We often, when we chant, we often pray for taste, isn't it? So there's nothing wrong with that, even though taste is a stage of bhakti that maybe I'm not qualified yet for. But to pray for taste is normal, it's natural, it's within the deserve, first deserve. I'm praying for taste because I'm chanting, I'm doing the work, so because I'm chanting, I'm praying, Krishna, when will this taste come? That's okay, that's good. We want that. We want Krishna to know we want that. And Prabhupada has said that you get Krishna's favor when you're hearing about Krishna, like Krishna, because have you ever heard this? Prabhupada said, if you just sit and hear Bhagavatam, Krishna sees, oh, you're interested in hearing about me, I'll help you. Suritsatam, it's in the second chapter of the Bhagavatam. Now, Krishna helps from within the heart. He's the friend within the heart. So Prabhupada said, it's because Krishna sees that you want to advance that he helps you. So that's significant if you actually think about it, isn't it? Because prayer is showing Krishna that you're interested, right? And so if you say, Krishna, help me with this, or when will that day come? Well, I'll have some taste, I'll have some attraction, my desire will be stronger. When will that day come when my attachments to this world will be over and my attachment to you will be very strong? And Krishna sees, oh, very nice. This devotee wants to be Krishna conscious, I will help him. So a lot of what's happening in the process of prayer is it's a showing to Krishna that you want to advance. Then Krishna sees, oh, let me help this devotee, they want to advance. So we should never think, I think it would be wrong to think, well, Krishna already knows I want to advance. Okay, that's okay. But when you actually do it, it takes it to the next level. So that's one of the reasons prayer is important. It shows Krishna that you want to advance. And as we've discussed many times, Krishna likes to help his devotees. I know that it can seem like Krishna doesn't like to help his devotees, because if he liked to help his devotees, then the question would come up, why did he make it so difficult to get back to Godhead? Like it's like, hey, Chaitanya Dasi, I'd like you to come over to my house. And then I put like all these roadblocks on it. I just, I drop a bomb on the road. It's like, why did he make it so difficult? So a lot of times we naturally think that way. Like, Krishna has made it difficult. Why did he make it difficult? It doesn't seem like he It's like an elite group of military men that can make it back to God, and everybody else is just stuck here. No, Krishna wants us, and whatever difficulty there is, he's doing that because it'll make us stronger. But we should never forget that Krishna wants us. It's very motivating to understand. He came here to. Why did he come here? To get you out of here. That's why. It's a beautiful thought. You can, when you read Bhagavad Gita, before you read Bhagavad Gita, you can say, Krishna, you have come here to save me, to bring me back through your teachings that I'm now reading in Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita is a manifestation of your desire to get me back. So if we think that Krishna does desire us to go back and will help us when he sees that desire within us, then we understand if I pray, then I'm activating that relationship. So I'm activating Krishna's help a little more. Then rather than just desiring it, I'm activating you could say you're activating his compassion to help you because you're expressing a need. Do you ever have a situation in which someone felt upset because you didn't help them with something, but they never asked you? You ever been in that situation? So it's like, Krishna, why didn't you help me with this? Well, you didn't ask. So you can think that way, not just assume. He knows what's in my heart. Why should I have to ask? But he wants us to ask, and he'll reciprocate with that asking. And whatever your deep, dark secrets are, your deepest aspirations are, even though Krishna knows, you can express them. You can even say, Krishna, this is what I want, but I need to express this to you. This is my desire. I want to be on this level of devotional service. I want to be able to serve you in this way. I want to create programs like this to glorify you. This is my deepest desire. I put that before you. I need your help, like that. Okay. So as we did last week, if you have any questions or comments, I'm going to address those before I go into the next one. But I see here we don't have any, so speak up fast. I'm about to go to the next one, if you have anything to say. Okay, well, then we'll go to the next one. I think this is probably like one of the most common things that devotees pray for. The most common ways devotees pray. I beg Krishna to help me. Oh, I want to say something first. I realized last week that one of the benefits of doing this course is that if you think there should be any editing to these prayers, you could make a suggestion. Say, I would add this, or desires, aspirations, and we already did fears before, right? Didn't we? Anyway, struggle, we did. So if you have any suggestions, put them in and I'll consider it, because I did do a tentative recording of these, but I only did 10 and now we have 20. So I'm going to re-record this, probably not till we finish doing this series together, because I'd like to see if you have anything you think you'd like to add, then I would be happy to consider it and give you publishing rights. So you'll make half of zero. You'll get half of zero. But who knows? Maybe the affirmation will go viral and Google will be sending me, all kinds of money for having 1 million hits. That's possible. Okay. Okay. I beg Krishna to help me overcome my weaknesses and the obstacles I face in coming closer to him. So this is what I meant by, this is not a prayer that you deserve. This is not, we deserve to pray this way, but this is not a prayer that you qualify for. We're already qualified by being fallen to pray this way. So this is we do deserve this. Let's say it that way. You do deserve to pray to Krishna to help you overcome your weaknesses and obstacles. And the principle of going from conditioned soul to pure devotee is that this is not something that we on our own have the power to do. And so therefore, it's quite natural to pray to Krishna to help us, because in and of ourselves, we can't do it. And it's quite natural even in secular life. If you can't do something and what you have to do is important, you ask people for help. You beg for help. You plead for help. You pray for help. Depending on the need, how much it is needed, that much you will intensely ask for it. So it's the same principle. So Krishna, on my own, I cannot do this. Only with your help can I do this. That is the mood in which a devotee prays to overcome weakness. This obstacle is too great for me. I don't know how to deal with it. I try. It's not enough. I need your help. Now, there's a very interesting thing that I want to explain about how prayer can work, because a lot of times we think prayer is a very mystical process, so something mystical is going to happen. And my obstacle is going to disappear. I'll wake up one morning and it's gone. And that could happen, and that sometimes does happen. But it also happens in another way. It happens in another way, or a few other ways which are similar, in which Krishna gives you the intelligence how to deal with the obstacle. So you're praying, help me overcome the obstacle. Maybe Krishna will give you strength to do it, spiritual strength, but sometimes he will give you intelligence. He'll say, oh, well, why don't you see the situation this way? Because if you see it this way, you won't have the obstacle. The obstacle is coming from your attitude or your belief. So sometimes when you're praying to Krishna to overcome an obstacle, Krishna may help you, but not like a light from the sky and it dissolves all your problems, but it'll come in Krishna giving you a different way to see the situation. And all of a sudden, the situation is no longer a problem. The situation didn't change at all, but he gave you the vision to see it differently, and now it's not a problem. Any of you have that experience? Like you're praying and the answer to your prayer comes in, see it this way. Or Krishna just gives you the vision. The thought comes to your mind, I should see it this way. And then all of a sudden with that new vision, the problem's gone. And you realize the problem was caused by my vision, the way I was seeing it. Now, sometimes it definitely does come in strength to overcome temptation, strength to be resolute in your determination. It can come that way, but often if you analyze it or if you think about it in the future, you will see that a lot of that empowerment that Krishna is giving, that strength is giving, he's giving through giving you a different understanding, a better way to understand the situation. And so that's very important. And so knowing that sometimes when we're facing a difficulty, we can pray to Krishna and even ask him, I need a different way to see this. The way I'm seeing it is not helping me. Yeah. Does that make sense to you? Like, Krishna, I have a problem and I need a different way of seeing this situation. Because sometimes we don't want Krishna to just remove the problem. Like, so and so is my problem. My dear Krishna, can you remove that person so I don't have to deal with them? Not kill them, but could you just remove them from me having to deal with them? And that would make my life easier. And Krishna might say, well, what I think is better is I'll give you the vision and the ability how to deal with that person, or how to see that person maybe at a better light, or appreciate them, or be more compassionate. Don't you think that would be better than Krishna just moving that person to the temple in the next city? You're praying, Krishna, can you just help me with this person? And the next day, that devotee says, I'm going to another temple. You say, oh, thank you, Krishna. You hear my prayers. I don't know if you're that powerful that you could do that, but if you are, that's dangerous. But Krishna says, I am going to give you the strength and the insight to be able to deal with this situation. That would be better, don't you think? Yeah. There's a Christian prayer like that. I don't pray to God to remove my obstacles. I pray to God to give me the strength to deal with the obstacles. Something like that. It's a beautiful prayer. Don't like, Krishna, remove all the obstacles. And Krishna might say, I'm not going to do that because you need the obstacles. So then when Krishna says that to you, then you come to your senses and you say, okay, Krishna, then can you give me the strength to deal with those obstacles? Because I think that's our lazy side. We just like, it'd be so much easier if there weren't any obstacles, wouldn't it? Of course, we know the biggest obstacle is our own consciousness, our own heart, our own mind, right? So we can't really say, Krishna, remove my heart, remove my mind. But I mean, just let's analyze what an obstacle is. Why is something an obstacle? It's an obstacle because we're controlled by it. Through attachment, maybe sometimes controlled by it through aversion, through desire to have it or enjoy it when it's not going to be healthy. And so when we talk about obstacles, if we boil it down, then we realize that usually the obstacle is me. It's the desire I have. Women are the problem. Money's the problem. No, women and money are not the problem. Although in Shastra it says, women and money, na dhanam, na janam, na sundari. And the desire for fame. Women, money, fame. Watch out. These are difficult things to deal with. These are obstacles on the path. But now, if you think about it, it's not the women, and it's not the fame, and it's not the money that's the problem. Like in the Bible, it says, it doesn't say money is the root of all evil, although some people think that. It says the lust for money or the greed for money is the root of all evil, right? So women, fame, and money is not the problem. The problem is our impure desire for it. Or the problem is our desire to have that, to employ it in our own sense gratification, fulfilling our own material desires without any connection to Krishna. That's the problem. So understanding that, it would make more sense if you say, Krishna, remove the obstacle. Well, Krishna is saying, that means I'd have to remove you because you are the obstacle. So be careful when you ask for Krishna to remove the obstacle, because he might remove you. There's no you, there's no obstacle, and you merge in Brahman, all problems solved, right? So we can make a little video, and this devotee is like, he's praying, and all of a sudden he ends up in Brahman. And then another devotee sees him and says, how did you get there? And he said, well, I was praying for Krishna to remove the obstacle. And so Krishna just said, well, if you merge in Brahman, there's no you. And if there's no you, there's no obstacle. So we solve that problem. Yeah, so be careful. So this is it's very important. It's very beautiful that if there's an obstacle, probably it's good that it's there. It's going to help me become stronger. And Krishna, I need your help to have the strength and or the vision, and usually the strength comes from the vision, to be able to deal with it in a way that it's no longer a problem, because I am no longer attached to it, or I am no longer giving into it. In some way, I am able to deal with it in a way that all of a sudden, what was a problem is not a problem, which is like, it happens all the time, right? Did you ever go to the temple and you had a problem and then you left the temple and you forgot about it? That ever happened? Or, you did some devotional service or whatever, and you can't even, what happened to that problem? What problem? Oh, you told me about this problem. Did I tell you I had a problem? I don't know. I forgot. It can happen like that. You have a different experience with something, a different emotional connection with it, because often the problem is how you feel about it, and you have some experience, it changes the way you feel about it, and all of a sudden you don't have a problem. Obviously change the way you think about it, you don't have a problem. So that's really what we're praying for when we're praying to Krishna help us overcome those problems, is to have the emotional connection and intellectual connection to that situation in a way that it resolves the problem. Right? So Krishna, help me resolve the problem. Give me the consciousness, the understanding to help me resolve the problem. Okay. So we have some comments, questions. Aaron says, literally, I had this for a big issue today and came to me with a different perspective and helped me share this with my wife. I think you're talking about looking at things in a different perspective. I think when you write your comments, you'll have to write what you're commenting about, because otherwise we have to remember. But I think that's what it was. You could just say, regarding changing perspective, or regarding whatever it was. Is that right, Aaron? That's what it is. Yeah. Well, you mentioned here, yeah, different perspective. I was asleep at the wheel. Yeah. We have this little phrase, Shastra, chakshush, see, eyes. The Shastra becomes the eyes. Like we have our eyes and we see through our consciousness, isn't it? Like what you see and I see will be different if we're in different levels of consciousness, even though physically we're looking at the same thing. So people on different levels of consciousness see the same thing differently. And so we are advised the Shastra should be your eyes, because if the Shastra is your eyes, then life will be better, life will be easier. If your own consciousness is not pure and that's your eyes, then you will often suffer. You will often suffer when you don't need to, but it's because your eyes are not the Shastra. You're not seeing that way. So the way that Shastra solves our problems is by changing how we see it. There's a beautiful saying, you may have heard this before. When you change the way you see things, the things you see change. Right? Sometimes I give this example. I introduce you to a person, and you see the person, they're a devotee, and they look like a nice devotee, and you're like, Hare Krishna, my name's so-and-so, what's your name? Like that. And nothing happens. And then I say, I didn't want to embarrass this person, but he's actually the prince of Kuwait, and he's going to be the king probably in the next 5 years. And he's this, that, and the next thing. He's raised in this, when he was a little boy, he was, raised in Islamic school, he was a brahmachari. He's been a brahmachari all his life, and now he's become a devotee. And he was raised, with billions of dollars, and he's like really detached, and he lives like sleeps on the floor. And you're getting impressed by hearing about this person because I'm changing your vision, I'm changing your consciousness by you hearing, by knowledge is changing you. I could say, this person we just talked to, I don't want to say anything, but he's been in prison for 20 years. He was a serial killer. He's rectified himself. And that probably would upset you. Like, I don't want to see him. Why did you bring him here? And so forth. So, and what, you know what's going on in the world today. I don't know if you're aware of this, but some of what you see on the internet going on in Israel and Gaza, it's not real video. It's videos that like people are showing. This is what's happening is a video from like 3 years ago in another country. Did you know that? Yeah, they do that. Yeah. This is what Hamas is doing to Israel, firing, rockets. And it's like Syria firing rockets at Israel 3 years ago. It's something like that. So I was told that when a journalist wants to make a point, then he would do let's say he wants to make a point that people in this village are hungry. So he wants to make a point that they're actually hungrier than they are or poorer than they are. He puts money in trash cans on the street and everybody's going through the trash can to get the money. He said, look how poor they are. They have to live out of a trash can. Interesting, right? And then the next day, there's a video that explains that. So you thought it was one thing, and then by hearing, you see it as something else. Oh, it's not bad. It was just planned. They're not really that hungry. They're not that destitute. But it was a political campaign. So a lot of this is going on. And sometimes you don't even know what's true because you're hearing so many things, right? And so, but we understand the process of hearing is affecting our perception, and our perception of something causes us to determine how it is, good or bad. All right, I'm going to turn on my effulgence. Don't go anywhere. So, yeah. Isn't that amazing? I can just turn my effulgence on. You didn't know I could do that, did you? One of my mystic powers. Yeah. Yeah. So at least if we remember this principle, when what you're looking at, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, then when we're dealing with difficulties and obstacles and so on, we can remember, well, Krishna, I need to pray to you to help me see this in a way that it's not an obstacle, or see it in a way where I'm not degrading myself into the mode of ignorance because I'm so upset or angry or whatever. Does that make sense? So Aaron says, different perspective is a game changer, and we're better equipped to take action. See things in a different way. For us, the problem remains, but we have remembered to believe that we could overcome our challenges. Yeah, that was similar thing. Was happening. So I think these things happen all the time. You find someone, they're very distressed, disturbed by something, and then you're concerned and so forth, and then you see them next week and everything's fine, and you say, what happened? Did this get resolved? And they say, no, I just see it differently now. Have you ever had that experience where nothing got resolved and I spoke to so and so and they helped me see it a different way, right? So that's what we want. We want Krishna to help us see it in a different way, in a better way, right? Mejor in Spanish, better. Mejor. I want to see it in a better way. Hare Krishna. When you make as many videos as I make, you're like lighting is everything. And I was never trained like how to. I did a photography class, but that was when I was 16. So it's like it's all about the lighting. You have good lighting on your little phone, you'll get better pictures than bad lighting on a good camera. Because all the good camera does is make the bad lighting look worse because it's such a good camera. Isn't that funny? This devotee, he was recording albums, but he's not really a good singer. So his band finally made it big, and they got to go in a real studio. And he said, my realization of the good studio, is I sound worse because it's a better microphone, so it picks up all the bad stuff about me. He said I sounded better on the cheap mic because you couldn't hear everything. So yeah. Okay. So Samira says also accepting the obstacle, it's not that big anymore. Yeah. Sometimes the problem is we're resisting it. And whenever you have a fear of something, usually that fear is dissipated when you finally face it and do it. And then you realize, well, it wasn't as big a fear as I thought it was, or it wasn't even anything to worry about. But so let's say you're resisting something, you're afraid to deal with it. You can then pray, Krishna, please, this is my obstacle is that I don't want to face my obstacle. That's my obstacle. It's like I'm one step removed from the obstacle. I feel uncomfortable dealing with it. And so you please help me. Can you help me? Give me the strength to face my obstacle. That's nice. Have you ever had something you didn't want to deal with? I think when we were young, just like a difficult class and you have homework, it's like, you don't want to deal with it, right? Or some relatives are coming over. Why do they have to come over? They're all nutty, whatever. There's always something we don't want to deal with. And then we have some personal habit that's unhealthy. And it's so hard to deal with it because however much you try to deal with it, it's always doesn't seem like enough and it's always there. So if you have any resistance to dealing with anything, or you have fears about doing something because you think you're going to fail, you won't be good at it or whatever, that's pretty common. So it's not abnormal if you feel that way. And because it's so normal, then you can pray to Krishna to help you overcome your resistance. If the obstacle itself is the resistance to deal with the obstacle. So, Krishna makes a good partner. He can help you, right? What do you think? A good partner in crime? Hare Krishna. Krishna is a good partner in crime. Jai Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. All right. That's a good point, Samira. Thank you. Okay. So, Deepa, it's daylight savings time, so we're in class. If you got, yeah. Anyway, I think, yeah, we're an hour earlier now. So this class is an hour earlier for some of you. Is that right? Or you have some countries don't have daylight savings and some do. So if you're in India, it's an hour earlier, but England should have daylight savings, but sometimes they don't have it on the same date, same weekend. Okay, anyway. So are we ready for the next one? Okay, make any comments if you want to add to it or subtract or suggest something. We'll also see if any of these are redundant by talking about them. So this is number 8. I implore Krishna to help me become detached from everything that is not good for my bhakti. So yeah, it's similar to 7, but it's a little more specific. It's a specific. It's very general, but very specific. Krishna, like whatever I'm attached to, that's not in relation to you. Whatever I'm attached to, that's not good for me. Please help me detach from that. So I think you know what this is all about, don't you? You ever had an attachment that was really bad and you couldn't give it up? That ever happened to you? Never, right? Yeah. Like, you know, it's bad. And you're like, I don't have the strength to let this go. You know what I'm talking about, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, definitely you're an avatar. For sure. So this is, of course, an obstacle, but it's more specific. Please, it's kind of the mood is, please help me become attached to everything that is good for my bhakti. Please help me become detached from everything that is bad for my bhakti. Now, just imagine for a moment your life, that everything you did in your life was good for your bhakti, and there was nothing you did that was bad for your bhakti. That would make life in Krishna consciousness beautiful and easy and fantastic, right? Don't you think? Yes or yes? Yeah. And all those things that aren't good for our bhakti, we don't want them anyway. And so this is the paradox, that we want things we don't want. You want something that you don't want. Isn't that interesting? That's so interesting. I just want to remember that. I mean, it's obvious, but it's just nice to state it out, write it out. That life in this world is so paradoxical that I end up wanting the things that deep inside I don't want, or I end up wanting the things that I know I should not want, that aren't good for me. And then I'm living in with this becomes a living paradox. I want this. Okay, here it is. No, I really don't want it. The mind thinks it wants it, but the heart doesn't. So we can pray to Krishna, can you help me not want all the things that I want that I shouldn't want? Can you help me want all the things I don't want that I should want? Yeah, why not? Pray like that. Like if you're, it's kind of like the way this world is, it's like I'm trying to go right, and I know I need to go right, but my body keeps going left. And it's like, there's this force that keeps pulling me left, but my destination is to the right. Like, what a crazy way to live, isn't it? What a horrible, painful way to live. And so, Krishna, I want to go right. Can you help me go right? Can you detach me from left? Because this is causing me pain, and it's causing a crack or a problem in our relationship, because I'm turning away from you, apparently against my will, but it seems I'm willing it, but I don't really want it. And I'm caught in this dilemma, this paradox of wanting what I don't want and not wanting what I really want. Yeah, that's the other half. I want what I don't want, and I don't want what I want. Wow. Maybe we should write a book about that. Could be a New York Times bestseller, right? Yeah. So we can see something from this is that when we're caught in these awkward situations that we can't get ourselves out of, that's when prayer becomes really important. So this is an example of a very awkward situation where I don't want what I should want. I want what I shouldn't want. And I keep wanting the wrong thing and not wanting the right thing, even though I know I should want the right thing and not want the wrong thing. So I'm caught up like this, and I need help to get out of this. So there's a lot of situations in which we feel completely helpless, and that is when prayer is very important. And in fact, the whole Maha Mantra is just, it's a prayer of helplessness for purification. It's really comes from a mood of helplessness. And helplessness is a sign of humility, or is helplessness. Humility is helplessness. Helplessness is humility. So when we say chant in a humble state of mind, that's one of the things it means is I'm coming in a helpless state. Useless and helpless and hopeless. Caught in the paradoxes of material life. When the paradox is really, really bad, you desire something that every time you do it causes you to suffer, but you still desire it. Have you ever been in that situation? That is like very painful, right? Okay. I just got a message that there's some questions I missed. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to read this again. I implore Krishna to help me become detached from everything that is not good for my bhakti. We could add, and become attached to everything that is good for my bhakti, right? Should we add that to the prayer? What do you think? Yeah. Yeah. What a like when I think like this, I think it's such an impetus to become Krishna conscious, because if I become Krishna conscious, then I don't have to deal with this duality and with this paradox. I don't have to live my life desiring what I don't want and not desiring what I do want. I can get out of this paradox. Um, just had to write this down. So we have from Padmini Devi Dasi, how to be responsible with what you want without being negligent. Thinking, for example, I'm not going to go to the doctor, Krishna is going to solve it. This brings up 2 points. And this is like, write a whole book on this. Let me rephrase your question a little bit, or an aspect of it is, how do you balance faith with practicality? And so you're giving the example here, faith that Krishna will cure me, with the practicality of actually getting cured, doing what would cure me. Part of the answer is that it will depend on your level of faith. Part of the answer is it will depend on your consciousness. In other words, you may rather just depend on Krishna, and if Krishna wants you to die, you'll die, and that's fine, because you'll take it that this is what Krishna wants. And I don't want to go to a doctor because I don't know if that's what Krishna wants. I'd rather, I have faith in him that if he wants he'll cure me. And people have been cured that way, and a lot of people haven't been cured that way. And it could be due to two reasons. One, they didn't have faith, or number two, it wasn't an intelligent decision. So, you could say, when is that an intelligent way to deal with it? And when is that not an intelligent way to deal with it? And does my faith correspond with, like I can think, yeah, I should believe this way, and I should act this way. Does your faith correspond with that? Because if it doesn't, you may not be able to do that. And Krishna will reciprocate with your faith. I have done some crazy things in my life because I have so much faith in Krishna. And Krishna came through like in the last 3 seconds before my world blew up. That's the way he does it. But I kind of took it after that happened so many times. I kind of took it like Krishna saying, why don't you just try to do it yourself, so I don't have to always come and save you. I'll help you do it. That will be more practical, and you'll be in less anxiety, and I won't have to, worry about you at the last moment. But, or you could say, well, Krishna did that, so it'd make me more dependent on him. But in reflection, I just think it was probably irresponsible on my part to some degree. But I've been in situations where, yeah, if Krishna didn't help me, that it would have been bad. But I don't think I should have put myself in the situation where I needed that much help. I think it was irresponsible. So, it's a balancing act between responsibility and faith, and your own nature, because you might realize, well, the responsible thing is to do this, but I don't have it in my heart to do that. It's not who I am. I want to depend on Krishna. It's like, okay. And everybody sees you sick and dying and say, why don't you do something? I take it as Krishna's mercy. All right. Going to die anyway, if not this week, next week or next month or next year. I saw this Jew, and he was, from Israel, and he was saying, it's not about dying. We don't know if we're going to die tomorrow. He wasn't saying it philosophically. He was saying it practically. He said, I don't really care about dying. I just care about where I'm going after I die. That's what's important. I thought, oh, that's nice. Very nice. Aren't you worried about you're going to die? No, I'm worried about what happens after I die. Because nobody's ever ready to die. And so you all might be saying, I'm not ready because I'm too young. Well, yeah. So, 20 years, you're going to say, I'm not ready because I'm too young. Or when 40 years, you'll say, I'm not ready, but you can't say because I'm too young. You just say, I'm not ready. Nobody's really ready unless they're advanced in devotional service or unless their body is in great pain. That's an answer to your question, and there could be more to say. We could go for a lot longer about faith, but I'll tell you one story that will illustrate what I just said. Brahmatirtha, when he met Prabhupada in Mayapur, when he was not initiated and just beginning Krishna consciousness, he asked a question. He was concerned. Prasadam was very spicy, and he was getting sick. A lot of devotees were getting sick, but it's prasadam, so how do you deal with it, and should you eat it? And Prabhupada said, it depends on your vision. And so then I forget if, maybe Prabhupada brought up Prahlad Maharaj's story where he ate poison and he didn't get sick. So whenever I tell this story, I say, well, if you want to know if you have faith or not, then put some poison in your prasadam and eat it. And if you have faith that it's prasadam, you won't get sick. And if you don't, well, just make sure there's an ambulance out there if you question your faith to take you to the hospital because you just ate poison. So obviously, we're not going to do that. But that was Prabhupada's point. He said, Prahlad had so much faith, which is why this to me, this topic of faith is so interesting because basically what happened and what Prabhupada is saying has happened, by his faith, he was not affected by the poison. Like he had faith, this is prasadam. Prasadam can't be contaminated. With that faith, he ate it in full faith that there's no problem. Or it's possible he was thinking, if Krishna wants me to die, I will. And so he took prasadam with that faith. It's like, this is prasadam. I should take prasadam. If Krishna wants me to die, I'll die. If he wants me to live, I'll live. And so he took it with that faith. So, do you have that faith? Because if you don't, and you find out there's poison in the prasadam that could kill you, don't take it. That's not the way Prabhupada said it, but that was his basic answer, Like if you can't imitate the faith of Prahlad. So if he was saying, so if you can't digest this spicy food, don't eat it. But Prahlad could digest poison because of his faith. So what we can see from this is faith a person with faith it's almost like change the laws of nature. You know something about faith healing and people pray. And the experiments that I've read is that if a person you'll do an experiment, well, you'll have many people in the hospital, some are being prayed for and some are not. And the ones who are being prayed for recuperate better, quicker, etc. So, people who don't believe in God can look at that in different ways and analyze it psychically, through physical, psychic laws or whatever. But the Bible says faith can move mountains. So that's a powerful statement that faith is a powerful ingredient within the cause and effect of the material world. Now, there's another way to look at this Padmini. As I said, we could give a whole class on this, which it seems like I'm doing. Another way you can look at it is sometimes I leave it up to Krishna. And then you could say, well, why are you bothering Krishna with this problem? Just go to the doctor. Like, why do you want to involve Krishna in your problems? So you could say that. Now, the answer that Prabhupada gave combines both of these ideas. And Prabhupada said, everything happens by Krishna's arrangement. It's up to Krishna, right? Didn't he say that? Yeah. Das ist good. Das ist good. He did say that. He did say that. But then he did say, you should still go to the doctor and pray to Krishna, knowing that ultimately it's up to Krishna. And the doctor can be an instrument, if that's Krishna's will. So he's combining the practical and the spiritual. Okay, I go to the doctor, I pray to Krishna at the same time. Or I pray to Krishna for the right doctor. And personally, if I'm praying to Krishna, like I have a problem, I don't know how I got it. It came up many years ago and then went away, and it came back last year in Vrindavan. It came back and decided not to go away. And so if I exercise to a point where my heart is beating, boom, 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 then I get the gastric juices or acidic juices in my stomach. They go up here. And so I can't really go on walks after I eat because there's too much in my stomach. I have to walk. Like in the morning, I can walk. And if we don't walk too fast and we don't walk up too many hills, then I'm okay. But if we do, I have to rest. I'm breathing, my heart's breathing, it's burning, I have to stop. And then start all over again. And it's like, that's not good. Like, that's a very limiting way to live. And you need to exercise, and if I don't exercise, it just, at my age, it's like downhill from, if you don't exercise when you're this old, you get really, really weak. And then I thought, Giriraj, I want to do parikrama. How am I going to do a parikrama if like every 15, 20 minutes I have to stop because I have all this pain and we're going so slow and everybody's saying, can't you go any faster? I'm like, I can't because I get this pain. And then I also have a problem with my hip, and the more I walk, the worse it gets. So I'm like, how am I, I've got this hip problem and if I could solve the hip problem and the stomach problem, then I could do parikrama. So it's like, Krishna, if I'm, what is some karma that I'm supposed to get or whatever, I don't know. But to spend my life not being able to do Govardhan parikrama, that's like the most depressing thing like I've ever heard. Because and every time I'm in India, I do Govardhan parikrama. Except I couldn't do it last time, as you know. I think a lot of you did it, and so I'm working on the problem. Maybe it'll be cured. Krishna knows what I want. I just met an Ayurvedic doctor. He's like, yeah, we can deal with it, but they all say that. But anyway, and some other help is coming from other devotees. So I don't feel bad about praying for something if the aspiration is pure. And I think that's a pure aspiration to do Govardhan Parikrama, and it's dear to me. And it's something that I naturally feel. Or let's say you're a book distributor and you have a problem and you can't stand up and you can't go out. So naturally, Krishna, please, book distribution is my life. Please help me find the right doctor or the cure, or just mystically, I'll wake up one morning and it's cured. So that's the motive behind the prayer. But if it's just like, oh, Krishna, this burns, it gets in the way, I can't go surfing because it burns. It's like, Krishna's like, why are you going surfing? You don't need to do that. So that's different. Then it just becomes for me. And so as devotees, we're very reluctant to pray just for me, like, so I'll be comfortable, But when it affects our bhakti, if it interferes with our aspirations for bhakti, then naturally we would pray, please, Krishna, help me. You know what Prabhupada said about his health? I don't know if any of you heard of this. Prabhupada said, Maya knew she couldn't stop me and the preaching was successful, so Maya got me through my health. That's the only way she could get me. She attacked me. That slowed Prabhupada's preaching down a lot. And obviously, if Prabhupada lived longer, that would have been better. But maybe Krishna was feeling separation. Or maybe Prabhupada had to go to another preaching program in another universe or another planet. We don't know. But so that's the mood, it's purely based on our desire to serve. And then we're like guilt-free in our prayer. Krishna, please help me. But and maybe you're in pain and it's so difficult. You'll pray, Krishna, please help, because you don't know who else you're going to pray to, right? But if there's some personal motivation, then there's usually a reluctance in the heart of the devotee. But if it's for something pure, then the devotee will naturally pray for it without any feeling any feeling of guilt or so on. And I think when I'm talking about a devotee will pray this way, I'm talking about devotees on our level. When you go to devotees on higher levels, anything can happen. Like we say, Prabhupada said, a devotee on a higher level, if they have no food, they won't even pray for food. They'll just fast. So I'm speaking our level now. Okay, so we have more questions. So you were saying that we shouldn't jump ahead and should pray just for the next stage. How can we be sure what the next stage is and that we're not skipping something that's absolutely necessary? Interesting question. For instance, you mentioned the example of rising for Mangalarti. Sometimes we might underestimate the value of rising for Mangalarti and other aspects of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, or think they're not a necessity. I see that even devotees who are in the process for decades. This is I don't know, a little bit not so straightforward of an answer because everyone's situation is different. If you study the stages of bhakti, then you get some idea where you're at without artificial humility. You know, when you're practicing sadhana, it's called bhajana kriya, or when you're initiated, that's considered practicing sadhana. And then from there, what naturally happens is your material desires start to lessen. So if you see that your material desires are becoming less, spiritual desires becoming more or stronger, or your material desires just becoming less intense in the beginning, maybe not less, but less intense, then you can say anartha nivritti is happening. Unwanted desires are being purified, or the frequency of them, in terms of the intensity of them, is weakening. When you come to the stage of nishta, then what happens, instead of being like this, you know, like on the stage of anartha nivritti, so there's some big anartha and it knocks you. And then you get back up, and then some big anartha knocks you. So you're up and down a little bit. You're getting purified, but you're up and down because there's a lot of anartha. So nishta means that the anarthas, there's enough reduction of anartha that you're not up and down anymore. Nishta means stable, steady. And then when you get to ruchi, you're pretty much detached, and your inspiration and bhakti is coming from taste, not from rules and regulations. So that's how you can understand. Those are the stages we're most concerned with at this point for most devotees. So, so now then you're asking the question, well, how important are all these other practices of bhakti? They're very important because it's what moves you up the ladder. So if you're moving down the ladder again, it's probably due to a slack in your sadhana, your service, your consciousness, and so on. And so, you know, if you're going up, things are looking good. If you're probably doing the right thing. If you're going down, you're probably doing the wrong thing. Yes, maybe, possibly, could be. Anything's possible, right? So, it's always good to just be feeling, you know, like analyzing through experience. Like, well, how is my consciousness? What is the level of my inspiration? Where is my mind going? What are my interests? Are they more Krishna conscious? Are my interests going in other areas too much? Well, that may be a reflection of my lack of sadhana. I'm going up and down all the time, definitely, and I'm not on the stage of nishta. So that's a short answer to another class we could give on a topic like that. Shalini says, Krishna has done that for me. He has shown me how to deal with situations in my life that I thought were impossible. Yeah, it's nice to have Krishna on board, don't you think? As a helper. Can make life easy. You know, if you follow if you follow any war, any conflict, present or past, the issue of civilian casualties is a huge issue, and this is a huge issue in the war between the Hamas and Israel. And so, if you listen to different commentators, then they have different views and different perspectives on this, you know, because it's like the Israelis want to rid the world of Hamas, but Hamas is hiding in residential areas. So in order to kill Hamas leaders, you have to blow up buildings where innocent civilians live. And so there's a natural concern. People feel the country has a right to defend themselves, but they don't have a right to kill all these citizens. And they'll say, but we have to defend ourselves from Hamas, and they're using these citizens to shield us from getting to them. So they're doing the wrong thing, not us, because we have to rid them because they want to destroy us. So, okay. So now, what's the Krishna conscious answer? Like what is the answer? Because there's good points on both sides. So fortunately, we have Shastra, we have Prabhupada, so we don't have to speculate, right? So we say, Krishna, I don't know, what's the answer? And well, if you think about the answer a little bit, and we talked about this when we were talking about war, the answer is you, according to Kshatriya codes, you can attack and kill someone who tries to kill you, but you don't have the right to kill innocent citizens. That's according to Kshatriya codes. Now you might say, well, in modern warfare, you have to kill some. Okay. But anyway, according to Kshatriya codes, you don't kill any citizens. You get your enemy without killing citizens. So we know that. And you can attack if you've been attacked. These are the rules. This is coming from Shastra. So it's like, okay, that's good. It's good to be a devotee because we have some standard. And so we don't have to have endless speculative discussions. Now, can we adapt those standards? Yeah, but at least we have some point from which to begin a discussion. We don't have to just start with our own ideas or ideas that have been handed to us. So Sydney says, I had to pray about a neighbor one time. It was causing a lot of problems. I tried to help her best I could and realized I could not help her. The police there all the time, etc. 2 weeks later, she moved. Yeah. Krishna heard your prayers. These people are living in the next apartment and they stay up to 2 a.m, play loud rock and roll. Krishna, can you help them find a new apartment? This is not good for my consciousness. Like what I would say to this is that in situations like this, however you pray, there's always got to be a justification. Like, Krishna, can you move them out? And say, because I'm not able to sleep. It's affecting I'm not able to serve. I can't, whatever. In whatever ways it's causing a problem for me in my service. I need your help for that reason. At least there's got to be a Krishna conscious reason, right? Other than, Krishna, it's driving me crazy. Can you make them disappear? Sometimes as devotees, we think, there's this loud music, outside someone's like, go cut the cord. Go in disguise and cut the cord. Because we have to go to bed now because we have service to do tomorrow. That's not that I've ever done that, or not that I know anyone's ever done it, but that's how we feel. Yeah. I'm sure some devotees somewhere may have done it. Yeah. Cindy says, Paul speaks about doing what we don't want to do in Romans. Very interesting. I've noticed. You have a verse for us? You can send us a verse. Karina says, I felt caught between something that appears on the surface to be good for my Krishna consciousness, but maybe deeper it's developing an unhealthy attachment. I pray Krishna will clarify my mind so I can not neglect things that help Krishna consciousness, but not have this quality myself that might create unhealthy dependence towards others. Yeah. So if we go back to the prayer, what prayer are we on? 8 or 9? We're on 8. Listen to number 9, Karina. This is good. I pray to Krishna to guide me from within to always choose what is best for my spiritual advancement. Let me put that up, because we're kind of flowing here, like everything, half of what I'm saying flows into the next one. Great minds think alike, especially when they're both mine. So I pray to Krishna to guide me from within to always choose what is best for my spiritual advancement. Yeah, that's the prayer for you, Karina. Well, it's actually the prayer for all of us, but specifically for this problem. I pray to Krishna to clarify, what's the right thing. And that could be another prayer. Ah. I'm gonna read that again. Oh yeah, so Karina is saying, something appears to be good for my Krishna consciousness on the surface, but it may not be. So that requires some introspection and realization, right? Doesn't it? Like this looks good, but as I think about it, it's not looking good anymore. And that requires some objectivity. So that's good. And so Krishna, give me clarity. Or what Karina is saying is not only, she's saying, I know it's not good, so I pray Krishna will help me do the right thing, basically, because you know what the right thing is to do. And Karina, if you don't do the right thing, you have to live with the Karina that did the wrong thing. Better to live with the Karina that did the right thing. She'll be easier to live with, don't you think? That's the bottom line ramification, isn't it? If I do the wrong thing, then I have to live with the Mahatma Das who did the wrong thing. If I do the right thing, I get to live with the Mahatma Das who did the right thing. So that's the choice, isn't it? That's always the choice. Okay. You can write that down. You can write it down, Corinne, and put it up. If I put it up, write it, get a tattoo, do something. If I do the wrong thing, I have to live with the Karina who did the wrong thing. And Karina's probably saying, oh, that doesn't sound good. I have to spend my life talking to Karina, saying, Karina, why? Karina, why did you do that? You know you shouldn't have done that, and you did it. And you have to regret that and suffer. Okay. And now we have a confession from Gaura Priya. I did cut off a neighbor's power when I lived in the forest. There was some neighbors having a party. They had all night and they didn't let us sleep. My tolerance limit was broken. Wow. I didn't know you were that tough, Gaura Priya. Yeah, but that's good. As long as they didn't come back and kill anybody. Okay, here it is from Paul. I do not understand my own actions. For example, I do not want what I want. Is that example? XL? It's a typo. For I do not want what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Wow. He got it from me, I guess. Now if I do what I do not want, I agree with the law that is good. So now it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells within me, for I know. I do not understand my own actions. I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I do not want, I agree with the law that is good. So now it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells within me, for I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is in my flesh, where I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. For I do not do the good I want, but everything that nothing good dwells in me, That is in my flesh, for I have the desire to do what is good, but the ability to get. For I do not do what is good, I want. It's getting the point made, right? Repeating it. Now, if I do what I do not want, it is no longer I, but sin. Oh, it's making the point again and again. 3 times if it's important. Yeah. We got the point, Paul. You made the point. That's a good point. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Okay. Class is over. We got all the questions done. I have to pack up now for my trip. See you all in Europe if you're going to be there. You might say, why are you flying to Europe in November? It's so cold. I was supposed to go in October, but it didn't happen. And there are various reasons why I do crazy things sometimes, but I will end up in Hawaii, so to make up for it. And Europe is not cold when you're inside. It's just cold when you're outside. And some places in the world are not as cold as Europe, but they're colder inside than they. So it's, going, you got the heat on. In Europe, they have good heating systems because it's so cold. They have to. Well, even in America. Look at Premonitions in Edmonton. That's like Moscow. That's like 6 months of snow or something crazy, right? You have snow there yet? Yeah, you're gonna have snow till like through April or something. I hope you like snow because you're gonna see a lot of it, right? So, but it's warm inside, right? Yeah, they have good heating system. In India, like they don't have central heating. It's like, but in the West, you have central heating. So it's quite nice. Okay, even the bathrooms are warm in the West, right? You must have been like shocked, Prime Minister, to have a warm bathroom. Right? It's like, no, the West means no tapasya. Like you go to India, it's only tapasya. And even when it's not supposed to be tapasya, it is. And in the West, it's like everything's just comfortable, right? Isn't it? Okay. I'm going to say goodbye and start throwing things in my suitcase. Hare Krishna to everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Mahatma Prabhu ki jai.
Oh, we got a confession here that Paul was not saying those things over and over again. That was anyway, Krishna wanted us to get the point. I don't want what I want and I don't want what I want. Yeah, that's a good point because it's the flesh that wants. It's the sinful nature that wants. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. We will keep you posted about classes in Europe. I thought maybe it's possible. What time? It's like 1 o'clock. We would have classes like 1 o'clock, Chaitanya Dasi. It's the equivalent. What is 9:30 your time?
Central European time, it's 3:30 p.m.
3:30. So we'll see. Maybe I can be free at 3:30 some days. When I first get there, maybe I'll be awake, maybe not. We'll see. We'll keep you posted. You can always go online at this time and see if I show up. Okay, Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.